Hey y'all, so we're gonna switch things up a bit. Um, Probably not talk about exercise at all because I have not and probably will not exercise. I'm drained. Um, 2 days of MEPS will do that to you. But what I'm gonna kind of do here is make a video about MEPS, tag it as MEPS, and just kind of, it might take a little bit longer. It might be a really long video. I'm not sure how long it's going to take to explain this. But then people that are going to MEPS or have questions for me about MEPS, I should be able to answer. If you just leave a comment, I'll try to answer them in a relatively timely manner. I'm not going to have all the answers, but just having came from there, I know quite a bit. A little bit is obviously going to be Air Force related, but just substitute your branch in. It's pretty much a general uniform thing. But excuse me. So your morning starts out at about 4:30, depending on when you have to go, how far you have to go. I didn't take the shuttle that was provided from the hotel to MEPS. That way I could drive myself when I was done. Didn't have to wait for all the applicants and then take a shuttle back to the hotel and then get my vehicle and then go home. So I drove myself. So I got up about 4:30, ate breakfast at 5, then drove to MEPS and sat down there and waited a little bit for the shuttle. Just made sure I beat it so I didn't get in trouble getting behind it. My brain is fried. I apologize. But then we got there, and some of the guys there were also like me. They weren't. They didn't go on the shuttle or whatever. So we went ahead and went in. And I'll tell you, if you are driving yourself, go in by yourself, because then I don't know if they're supposed to or what, but they treat you a little different. They were a little nicer to the people that were first there. I know it's just because in a big group it's easier to be instructive and be assertive, but that is how it was. And eventually you just get thrown into the big group anyways. But my light went to crap. Hang on, I apologize for this. I wasn't thinking when I plugged that in, but so then what you do is you go and talk to your liaison for your branch. I obviously went and talked to the Air Force liaison, and then you go to the medical desk, and then they take your whatever they take, and then you either start processing with like your blood pressure, which I think most of the females did that. I haven't figured out where the cordoned off section was, why some people went this way, why some went to the brief, but some of us went to the brief, and then some of us went the other way. So I went to the brief, and then they go through a MEPS brief, they tell you, and then they have you fill out a whole bunch of paperwork about prelim stuff before the med check. Stuff that you've probably already filled out with your recruiter, most likely. That's how it was for the Air Force, at least. Every one of those papers I pretty much filled out is like the second or third time that I've filled them out. But then after the brief, you head into the med room, and you start. It depends on kind of where you start. If you start with hearing or eye check, or it'll be something kind of basic like that you start with, and you'll progress up through blood work, urinalysis, breathalyzer, hearing, vision. Then you'll have a doctor interview you about anything that's in your record that he wants to go over, they need to go over, just to give you a chance to kind of explain things if need be. And then it's a lot of hurrying up and waiting. It's just a lot of hurry, sit, which is pretty much how the military is. I'm definitely not complaining. It's just how it is. But then you get done with that, and you do more med check parts. Eventually you'll go into a room. If you're a guy, I obviously don't know how females did things, but If you're male, you go into a room with about 5 or 6 other males. And then I guess this was a small group. I was in group 2 of, I think there's 3 groups maybe there's only 2. But then that's when you do like the infamous duck walk and all kinds of joint exercises, and they'll really explain that. And then you go ahead and do the physical examination, just like you were doing a sports physical, basically. And, standard, pretty much everything. They seriously check you from head to toe, and they ask so many questions, and what they're kind of trying to do is trip you up and make sure that you know your stuff. You're not just telling them this and they're lying. They're trying to catch you in the lie is what they're trying to do. It's the reason for that is there are so many applicants trying to get in the military right now that the military doesn't have jobs for them for the most part. I know that's how it is for the Air Force, and I imagine all the other branches follow suit pretty simply. But anyways, you get done with that, and I probably should have started with the very beginning, but like I said, my brain is fried. It depends on how you process. If you do a single day, which I would not recommend, let me stress on that, I would not recommend same-day processing. Because same-day processing, you do everything in one day. So you not only get up that early, but you start to go through medical. They pull you out in the middle of medical to go take your ASVAB. You come back from ASVAB to get back into medical. They'll take you back out of medical to do your other computer literacy test. They'll take you from your computer literacy test back to medical. Then they'll take you out for something else. There was 2 guys doing that with my group, and it just looked like hell. I mean, I would much rather, what I did is I went down the afternoon before rather, took the ASVAB, the personality test, there's a couple other analysis tests in there, took those, and then the next morning is when I just did strictly medical, and then at the end you do job counseling, but I'll get to that. So after you've went through, let me see if I can list them the way I did it. Okay, so I started with hearing, then you go and sit and wait for like 10 or 15 minutes. Then I went to vision, and then I went and sat and wait for 10 or 15 minutes. Then I went down the hall to blood work, where they take some of your blood for a blood test. And there goes my light again. I'm completely failing. But, and then I went back and sat for probably a good 20 minutes, and then I had an interview with the doc, and then I went out front and sat and drank a whole bunch of water because the urinalysis was coming up. Then I went back and did urinalysis, and then I came back and sat, and then we went into the room with the other guys and did like the duck walk and the joint exercises, and the doctor examines us, paying attention to you individually. And then there's a point in there where one of the sergeants will have you do your height and weight and document all your scars and ask you questions about those, and put those in your file. And then after that is when you do all like the duck walk and things. I kind of got ahead of myself again. And then after that you do your physical examination, like personal one, single by yourself with a doctor. And when you're done with that, then you go back to the front desk, and they'll send you to your liaison again. And your liaison will probably at that point, if you haven't already, send you back to get your lunch and let you go have a little bit of a break, about 10 minutes, and then you go back to your liaison after you ate lunch, and you start the career counseling. After career counseling, I shouldn't say after career counseling because that takes pretty much the rest of the time. But this is, to put this into perspective, this is probably already like 8 hours into it. The last 2 hours are probably devoted to career counseling, so you've already been 8 hours in medical. And then they take all your scores from your ASVAB and things that you qualify for. And then my cell phone's ringing again. Every time I've tried to do a video tonight, my cell phone's been ringing. Everyone's been excited to hear about MEPS. But No, I lost my train of thought completely. Okay, yeah, he plugs in your ASVAB scores, your vision, everything, and then it gives you a huge list of all the jobs you're eligible for, and then you pick out your top 7. He puts those in a file. You review them, make sure you know about them, yada yada yada. Then you go to operations, which they'll interview you about your file, take your fingerprints, ask you if you're withholding any information. Again, they ask you all the time. Then you go back to your liaison and finish more career counseling. And then you go, I think you're in there for quite a while. And then you kind of go sit tight and wait till everyone's ready to swear in. And then you go swear in. And then you go back to your liaison and you have your contract. And that's pretty much it. And it doesn't sound like that big of a day, but it's a huge day. Tips I'll give you: don't have a coat or anything like that. If you can handle walking from the door to your vehicle, do that. Because otherwise you got to put it in the baggage check thing. It's just another hassle you got to worry with. Be respectful. They're not there to yell at you. They're not there to get mad at you. But I notice a lot of disrespect, and I guess that's something I'm brought up on is respect. So I didn't have a problem with it. But some people were just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it without trying to be extremely rude. But just respect the staff. They're great. They're really, really nice. They're there to help you. For the most part, they love what they're doing. You can tell. And respect respect the facilities, respect your fellow MEPS members. I mean, just get through it. You're all there for the same reason, to get through the same thing. Just be polite to everyone, and just, it sucks. Waiting sucks. Doing all the medical stuff sucks. But don't complain. Don't whine. Just get through it. And when you're done, you can make a YouTube video and complain about all the bad stuff. But yeah, so I'm officially part of the United States Air Force. I'm a delayed entry applicant. So I'm waiting for a job to line up, basically. With Special Forces, a lot of it depends on the past, but I'm still going to be looking for a job. I think that's about all I have to say. Definitely leave me your questions if you have any. And even if you're not going to MEPS or looking at going to MEPS, if you're curious about something, just go ahead and shoot me a comment. I'll be more than happy to answer it. But like I said, not much for working out today. Actually, nothing. I'm not going to lie at all. Nothing for working out. And a terrible meal plan because I had a celebratory B-dubs run with some friends. So it was a lot of fun. I ate entirely too much, but it was one of those things that was needed. Now I'm completely drained, completely full, and, it happens. But, well, thanks for all for watching. I just butchered that. Thanks y'all for watching. As always, adapt and overcome. See y'all later.